Hi everyone, welcome back to the Action Movie Show. With me as always is my associate Manyninjas, who is going to gush unequivocally and without shame about his favorite movie, the movie we're going to cover today.
We already did Kung Pao. This does not even make the bottom list. I don't know where this belongs on the list. In fact, even on the worst list, this doesn't belong there because even that list is better than this. We're talking The Marine, starring John Cena, aka a man who cannot act in or out of the ring. And I had to question whether I was going to appear on this episode today, because this episode is so bad, and we've done some bad movies here on the Action Movie Show before, that I had to seriously question whether this warrants an appearance by Manyninjas to talk about this film. I'd rather talk about Pocket Ninjas. And if you've watched my video about that, you know how bad Pocket Ninjas is.
So like I said, he's going to shamelessly crush on it. He's going to gush without restraint. This is really Manyninja's favorite movie, perhaps of all time.
Maybe I should just get... Is it too late to call someone else to sub in for me?
Yes.
Crap.
Read the back of the box.
Alright. After being discharged against his will from the... Well, after being discharged, against his will, from the Iraq War, U.S. Marine John Triton, WWE Champion John Cena, returns stateside. That is an awkward sentence just to begin with.
Yeah, I think it was probably... I don't think they typed it out correctly. Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah. That's not proper English, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, anyway, as I was, when his beautiful wife, Kate, Kelly Carlson, is kidnapped. Triton must take on the ruthless band of killers to save her, using the most powerful weapon in his arsenal, himself. Yeah, no matter how you look at that, this is not good.
Yeah, did you find out it was miswritten?
It's bad English, for one.
Yep.
Okay, so we got... Actually, no, this isn't your standard affair. Maybe, well, technically, if you want to go the whole cover, then yes, it's your standard orange and blue, which of course is the design of, or a sign of modern movie design. Lots of orange, lots of blue, occasional green, but mostly orange and blue. It's on recyclable or recycle-friendly stock here, which basically means we put the extra effort in order to die cut some extra recyclable spots on here. But of course, realistically, you're getting less plastic, so this thing's flimsier than it should be. And I imagine the effort in order to cut the extra spaces required more effort with whatever they use in order to cut devices, which itself would pollute the environment more. And yep, 20th Century Fox, 2006 Fox.
Are you seriously just evaluating the case?
This case and the critique of it gives me something more to talk about than the movie itself. Yes.
Well, allow me to assist you, because fortunately, see, Manyninjas is usually the master of the notes. Generally speaking, he has usually, he makes notes of this movie. He's decided that no matter what, he's going to complain about this movie, which I'm perfectly okay with because the movie sucks. However, I took a page out of his playbook, and I actually have several pages of notes. I have many thoughts on this movie, and I will share them with you all.
That's good. While you're sharing that, I gotta go get some ice cream. Maybe this review won't be so bad after all. I think I can have some.
You will sit and you will like it. Anyway, given your gushing love, why don't you just give your non-spoilery overall review of this movie, how you feel.
All right.
Please, don't hold back.
All right. The non-spoiler review is this movie was mostly a very badly done attempt to perhaps continue at the general license, or at least try to continue to launch WWE superstars into viable movie stars. Except for the small problem that, one, the main man you pick for this film can't really act in or out of the ring. Two, even if he could act, the general scripting and story for this film is actually so boring and poorly executed that unless they ad-lib the whole thing, there's nothing to save the film. And 3, you don't need a 3, actually. That pretty much explains everything.
So in other words, you recommend buying the deluxe version.
If the deluxe version will give you a full case, still no. Save your cash, ladies and gentlemen.
So I'm not going to kill it quite to the same degree as Manyninjas is. It is a bad movie. Bottom line, I'm mostly provoking Manyninjas because, quite frankly, it amused me to no end. I thought that I had originally seen the movie, and I've actually seen one of the direct-to-video sequels that came after. I saw the third one. The third one starred The Miz, another WWE wrestler, because this is a franchise that basically is they get a WWE wrestler, stick them in there as the main role, and they play it out. It's a simple formula, but for straight to DVD, normally that's fine. This one actually did come out in theaters. And part of the reason why this movie exists, part of the reason why the sequels that came after also came to exist, is because I believe, if memory serves, I think this movie actually made money, which is funny in and of itself. It's weird because for me, when I was watching it, movies go into one of two categories. You have good movies, and then you obviously have bad movies. But even when you get inside of bad movies, you can really break it down even further. Like, there's bad, and then there's so bad it's funny. And I was trying to decide if this movie got to the point where it was so bad it was funny. I don't think it quite got there. Unfortunately, it stayed kind of bad because once you get into so bad it's funny, it has to almost become a self-parody. It has to be in on the joke. When the movie's in on the joke, and it realizes, okay, this movie's stupid, so we're just going to be stupid about it, then it's fine. When the movie is bad and it tries to take itself seriously, that's when you get into the dangerous territory. And I think, unfortunately, they tried to take it seriously, almost. It's like half the time they were trying to take it seriously, and half the time somebody realized, yeah, this is stupid, but let's just screw around with this. And when the two forces are fighting each other, it ends up being a disaster. This movie is like, zero point 0.5 out of 5 stars. It's really, there's very little redeeming out of it. There are a few things, though, that I did get a kick out of that I will share as we go along. So that's a non-spoiler review. I would watch it if it's on Netflix for free. I got this, the copy that Manyninja showed you. I got that in the bargain bin for about $3 or $4. That's fine. I'd rather have watched it on Netflix as part of the streaming package anyway. That's not so bad. Paying more than about $3 or $4 though would be annoying. And I will also make a comparison later on to that third movie that I did watch, the second sequel, so to speak. So Manyninjas, I assume there's nothing you want to get to. Do you want me to carry this a little bit and you'll comment here and there?
Well, I just want to interject. I'm pretty sure by bargain bin, what Carlos really meant is it was probably not so much a bin, but a box. A litter box. Because that's where the Marine unrated because, quite frankly, who would want to rate this piece of shit, belongs. Continue.
Like I said, I feel that Manyninja is a bit neutral on this, and I wish he would take a stand on it. That's just me. So anyway, I wanted to make a point, and I wanted to try to find it. I was trying to find a screen grab of it. Unfortunately, I didn't. Because I actually had the physical copy, I didn't make a screen grab of it. I'll see later on. I'll see if I can make it. I'd love to make that the thumbnail. The opening scene. I shouldn't say opening scene. I should say the opening title sequence, or basically where they've got the title, the Marine, and then they show John Cena there. John Cena is actually dressed in a Marine dress uniform. A Marine dress uniform that, considering he's a big dude, he's basically a bodybuilder, looks like it was fitted for like an 8-year-old kid trying to wear a Marine uniform. Like, none of it seems to fit properly. You would think they would spend a couple of bucks and at least get him a uniform that looks like it fits. You don't even need a real uniform. Just get something that looks sort of like one and then move on. Because all he does is they show the title, they show him, he salutes, and then you go straight into it. So the movie starts off in, I think, in Afghanistan. They're trying to, around, this movie came out around 2006. So you've got the Afghani war that America's involved in. and they try to sell John Cena as basically a poor man's John Matrix from Commando. Right down to, and I'm going to show you just how much they borrowed from it. Let me show you a little screenshot here. I was able to get a handful of things, but I'll try my best to like show you guys what I'm trying to say. Let's show you, here is John Matrix. So this is Schwarzenegger as John Matrix from Commando. Let's get that up here. There he is, wielding his knife and the whole thing. Can you see that, Manyninjas?
This is almost like we're looking at a good movie again. I feel my spirits are lifting up already.
Let's not get carried away. It wasn't that good. Anyway, so that's Schwarzenegger as John Matrix. Another man who can barely act, to be perfectly honest. Manyninjas is going to harp on the acting of John Cena, but to be honest, I think that's the least of their problems. We could have put Schwarzenegger in this movie, and it wouldn't have changed anything, in my opinion. So here is Schwarzenegger. Now I'm going to get out of that. So stop that. All right. Now I'm going to pull up the Marine thing for you guys, just so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's get it up. Okay, so here's John Cena in that opening bit where he's in Afghanistan. There he is. It's a kind of a small picture, so you'll have to bear with me. It's really tiny. I wanted to make it bigger. I wonder if I could in some way magnify it for you guys.
I think Control and then the... Oh, wait, you're using a Mac, so scroll bar or the scroll button doesn't apply here, does it?
No, not really. Let me see if I can do... I can zoom in. Let's zoom up. There we go. Whoops. I actually have it. There we go. A little too large. There you go. A little blurry, but you get the idea. Can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah. So, you know, not exactly the same, but they did kind of borrow the same kind of face paint. Like, it's the same concept. He's in Afghanistan. He's a one-man army taking on the useless Afghan militants because they're effectively useless. Now, I want to get into the thing. Literally, they say they're Al-Qaeda, so they don't mince words on this. Yeah, storming Al-Qaeda. Yeah. One of the first things that struck me that basically came off like a direct ripoff of Commando was that he storms in to take on the Al-Qaeda militants who are holding American hostages. And of course, again, a bodybuilder guy standing directly in front of them with all of them having weapons, and then a single one of them can hit a stationary target. He literally stands there and tees off with his gun, shooting all of them down, which is ridiculous. Let's see. Yeah, so that was kind of the first thing. So he defies orders, takes the Al-Qaeda guys out, saves the Americans. He's a hero. Bring him back over to the military base, and John Cena is there. Well, John Triton, because you know he's acting. So everyone still gets to call him John because apparently he can't respond to any other name. It's too complicated. And John Triton, by the way, sounds an awful lot like John Matrix. We can only call people that look like that John, apparently. So they're back at the military base. He's working out in the gym. And then one of his superiors comes in to let him know he's being discharged for disobeying orders. So he's an American hero being discharged for disobeying orders and saving his comrades. A little bit far-fetched, but whatever. This is how we set up. Here's my first problem with this movie. John Cena has been discharged from the Marines. They make a whole play about the fact that this is the only thing he knows. But they make it perfectly clear he really has no hobbies. He really has no real friends. He really doesn't have a life outside of the Marine Corps. Quite frankly, he's a loser. But he has a hot wife, so that's basically all they're trying to get at. He's about as two-dimensional a character as is humanly possible. If he turned sideways, he would be a piece of cardboard. Is how barely dimensional he is. He barely has the two dimensions. But in a movie like this, what are you going to do?
I thought if he turned sideways, maybe he'd become invisible, since he's always telling people that you can't see him for some reason.
Indeed.
I thought that was the secret.
Well, the secret was revealed in this movie when he has no dimensions. I'm just going to skip through a couple of plot points real quick, because there's certain bits that I want to talk about, but right now, so far, we're just getting to its background.
Yeah.
So he gets a job working as a security guard in a building. ends up getting into a fight with a jerk who comes in that they're trying to kick out. He ends up throwing him through a plate glass window and gets fired. We're establishing he's a loser and doesn't really know how to do a real normal person job. These are the only skills he has. So his wife suggests, well, why don't we go out for a trip? We'll get away from all of this. So this is what leads them into going away. Now, John Cena has to do something action-oriented, so we've got to give him a scenario. Cue the villains. Our villains are led by Robert Patrick. Let me pull it up to make sure I got it. Yes, Robert Patrick, for those of you who might know, is kind of an actor who ends up being a villain in a lot of movies. He plays cops a lot, but also specifically most famous for, I think, a lot of action movie fans, being T-1000 in Terminator 2. An amazing role, and it will be referenced later on in a brief bit. So Robert Patrick's a bad guy, and he's got a crew of robbers who pull off these stunts. Now, all of his crew, they're all insane. They're basically, they're trigger-happy nut jobs, and that comes into play a little bit. They're kind of incompetent, to be perfectly honest. So when they end up doing it, one of the problems I had, and I wrote it down here just because I'm just reviewing my note real quick. Okay, 2 issues I had, specifically, and we can talk about this real quick. In this movie, everyone who isn't already dead can live through explosions. Did you notice this, Manyninjas?
There's a lot of explosions. Most of them are caused by the bad guys who.
But the explosions don't matter, because if somebody's alive near the explosion, they're always unharmed.
No, not necessarily always unharmed as much as they know how to leap out of the way of explosions. Apparently, everyone knows how explosions work in movies, and thus know the automatic getaway sequence of how to keep from being seriously hurt by the explosions.
That's the claim that they're trying to play up. Like I said, I'll review it quickly because the details don't matter so much, into just the specific bit. So the first example of this. Robert Patrick has successfully orchestrated a diamond heist in a jewelry store. They've taken the diamonds. They're leaving. They're making their getaway. The police come. He opens fire on a police car with an automatic rifle. Now, one of his associates, who is known as Morgan, the token black guy on the crew, as he's firing away at this police car that's charging him, Morgan pulls out a rocket launcher and blows the police car sky high, with Robert Patrick nearly at point-blank range to this thing. Now, there are 3 fails here. Number 1, you don't fire a rocket launcher at that kind of range because you're dangerously close to shrapnel. So we're trying, to point out that Morgan's insane and trigger-happy. Number 2, Robert Patrick, to the same degree, is standing at point-blank range to this, and he doesn't really get as mad as he should have, given the fact that this police car is blown up in his face, and he kind of turns sideways and basically the flames that should have engulfed him and at least caused burns, basically we're trying to say that he's at the perfect range where if anything he gets slightly warm, maybe a tan, but doesn't actually get hurt in any way, shape, or form. And his suit really is unaffected by any of this.
He's
and he
made of a liquid metal alloy. That's not going to work. Fire does not work in this case.
Yes, indeed. T-1000 can totally withstand a simple explosion. That's not really going to do a big deal. Third item that was a fail is that they actually pulled out some Rob Zombie music in this moment. So during this action sequence, they're playing the Rob Zombie music, which is great. It sounds good. Except for the fact that somebody didn't turn up the volume on the Rob Zombie music and turn down the volume on the gunfire and the rocket launcher. So it's like as if I was talking at full volume so that I'm trying to make sure you hear me, but at the same time playing music on my phone right beside the speaker at maximum volume so that you can sort of hear me and sort of hear the music, but we're muffling and canceling each other out. And that's an editing thing. That has nothing to do with the people involved in it. That's a sound mixing issue. And it wouldn't be the first time that I would notice editing things and weird crap that falls out of sequence and what the hell are you doing? Did anybody actually edit this movie?
John Cena did.
You're just going to blame everything on John Cena, aren't you?
Oh, no. Not everything.
But he's involved in the sound mixing.
Yes. You can't hear me either. The cover, I'm pretty sure he had nothing to do with the cover. Don't know of his artistic chops, but I'm pretty sure the cover, he had no involvement in it.
Indeed. All right, so let's see here. Yep, I covered the sound mixing, which was hilarious. Okay. Now the action shifts back to John Cena. So we've established the bad guys. These are going to be our guys that are going to be taking on John Cena eventually. Shift back to the John Cena world. Just before his wife proposes that they leave, she is trying to have a chat with him about how the day's work went. And of course, being that they're sitting directly in front of the television, at that moment, the news broadcast immediately comes on to show video of him throwing a guy through a plate glass window. Because in movie world, the news broadcasts only cover the news that is most relevant to you at the moment in which you're conversing about it.
I believe that is the law of serial dickery.
Yeah, pretty much.
News. That's kind of how it works.
Yes. And the two storylines, we'll call them, coincide at a gas station kind of on the way to this mountain range or whatever. And it ends up happening because the bad guys, in their infinite wisdom, are basically just buying crap and trying to make a drop, so they're going to sell these diamonds or finish the drop in a deal. So they're going to drive over to it. And their job is to stay inconspicuous. So to stay inconspicuous, they end up flipping out, taking out, they end up taking out the gas station attendant and a couple of officers when the officers go in to pump gas. And the reason this happened is because one of the police officers decided to get chatty with Robert Patrick's character. Now, Robert Patrick is trying to play this cool. He doesn't want to talk to this guy, but this guy insists on extending this conversation for absolutely no good reason. He's talking about a bunch of random crap, talking about Las Vegas or Nevada. I can't remember. It was something related to the license plate.
It was Vegas.
It was Vegas. Because they had a Vegas thing on the license plate of the car that they had borrowed from the car shop guys they know. So he ends up having this chat with him. He wants to have this long, drawn-out conversation with Robert Patrick. Robert Patrick is trying to end the conversation as soon as possible so they can move on with the rest of their lives. So this conversation takes so long that our friend Morgan freaks out, decides to walk over, shoot the police guy, which in turn starts off a gunfight, kills both police officers, and in order to resolve this issue, they then have to kill the guy in the gas station, take out John Cena, and then carjack John Cena's car, his SUV, with his wife in it. So they kidnap the wife, take the car, and run off. And at the same time, they also fix it so that the gas station will blow up. So John Cena, being the only person left alive at the gas station, is trapped inside the gas station at the moment the gas station pumps blow up. Now, the reason I bring this whole thing up is for two reasons. Number one, Manyninja's unbridled passion of this movie would result in him giving a description that doesn't quite cover all the details. Isn't that right?
Actually, I was going to mention, it was not generic police, it was highway patrolmen, for one.
Whatever.
And this would be the first instance of explosions don't hurt John Cena, because he doesn't know how to sell explosions properly, which is the reflection of his wrestling prowess. So, okay, he doesn't know how to sell shit.
I was going to bring this up, and I thank you for bringing it. The reason why I have an issue with this specific one, action movies, like everything else, have certain tropes. There's certain running gags. A person, an action hero, who is in a situation where he's about to get blown up and is trying to get away from an explosion, the standard operating procedure is you run away from the explosion, and at the moment the explosion goes off, you go flying forward, away from the explosion in an open area where the concussion wave of the explosion spreads out everywhere. Now, I'm not going to say that the action movie people think the science part of this out very carefully, but it's just the way it's always done. Explosion happens, person goes flying. Pretty standard. John Cena, being the special individual he is, decides to get blown into the gas station So he flies inward into the gas station, getting hit by the concussion full blast, which is actually what knocks him backwards. Which incidentally should kill him, liquefy his guts, or at least injure him terribly. So of course, being John Cena, he immediately basically walks out of the gas station after the whole place having blown up, the concussion having sent him flying into the wall, comes straight out of it, and then gets into the police car, takes it, and then proceeds to chase after the bad guys.
Oh, and while he's chasing after them, he explains the situation. Of course, introduces himself as... does he introduce himself still as a Marine when he's in that car ride?
No, he actually just says, "I'm John Triton," as if that would mean something to the dispatcher.
Yes.
Also, there's no dispatcher.
There's no
Even
lot
in
of
post, they couldn't. Again, a standard action movie trope. Let's try it. It works kind of like this. Imagine I'm sitting in a car. I'm the good guy. Now, I get on the speaker. I go. It's like I'm reporting a carjacking in progress, and they're like, "Who the hell is this?" "I'm John Triton." "Who the hell's John Triton?" "Where's the officer?" Whatever. You have some kind of a conversation with the dispatcher. They couldn't even edit a dispatcher to acknowledge what he's saying. He's basically talking into a dead CB radio.
This is not new technology, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, we saw this shit back ages ago. Hell, we were talking about this sort of thing back during our Die Hard review. This is not a new concept to put in an action movie. They have plenty of examples to go from.
Well, that's the thing. Like, for me, the thing here, I'm going to say this point that I'm trying to make right now is a microcosm of what's wrong with this movie. What's wrong with this movie is not bad acting. Because B action movies that are straight to DVD, basically, this one did go to theater, but movies like this that are almost straight to DVD are filled with bad acting. That's not the problem this movie has. The problem this movie has is that they were lazy and sloppy. They forgot even the simple stuff where it's like, look, this movie's going to be bad anyway, but we can throw it. How long does it take to grab a microphone and get a voiceover actor, someone, to pretend to be the dispatcher? They need 3 lines, maybe 4. That's it. And they could do it in post. They don't even have to do it. You can film the thing and then add it in after the fact and go, yeah, okay, this is just the dispatcher responding. That's all it is. 3 or 4 lines. One person. The person has about 10 minutes worth of work. You give them a couple of grand and send them home.
All right. Moving onward. I believe at this point now we're officially into the chase scene, which basically even the crazy people in the car, all the killers, are thinking that the guy chasing them is downright crazy because it managed to completely go through all these obstacles, which effectively destroy the highway patrol car that he's in, and just keeps chasing them. To which probably one of the few good lines in this movie occurs, or I can't remember, it was one of the guys in the back comment is like, this guy just keeps following, he's like a Terminator or something. And then you see Robert's character just turn around, or you can see in the rearview mirror just him looking back at the person who said that with as close to a dirty look as you can get in this film. Because it's basically, the eyes express it all. It's like, either it's like, A, that's not funny. We all know what you're referencing. Or B, you know too much. So I'm going to have to kill you before this movie is done myself.
Indeed. You had to have the Terminator joke in it. Now, the thing is, the reason why they brought it up is because the police car has been shot to hell. Like, literally, this chase scene goes on for a while, and they put, like, hundreds of bullets into the damn car, and it doesn't go down. Hundreds of bullets into the car. It doesn't go down. John Cena doesn't get hit by a single one of these bullets, despite the fact half the bullets are going through the driver's side door. Half the bullets should have hit him, to be perfectly honest. And if not that, the engine should have been dead 1/4 of the way through this chase scene because so many bullets had been pumped into it. And they never show the engine leaking. They never show a damn thing happening.
Well, there's a reason for this. It's for plot development. Because, okay, the car's not only bullet-ridden, it's ran through some construction equipment which took off the roof. And finally, when the car actually does get destroyed near a cliff, it basically uprights itself and sends itself flying, careening off the cliff in slow motion enough that everyone can get out of the car, or point out the side of the car, and start firing at the car, hitting it in every possible way. Yet somehow John Cena is shown falling from the bottom of the car out the side, or the roof that no longer exists, without a scratch on him, as the car continues to spin at least a few more rotations, no one noticing that John fell out of the car, until the car finally explodes and then continues slowly falling.
Indeed.
Because in all those rotations, no one notices, hey, the guy we were shooting at, he's not there anymore. Where'd he go?
Pretty much. It's just one of those silly things. So he falls out of a slowly rotating, exploding police car flying through the air. They can't kill him there. They can't kill him there. They continue on. And then, having basically destroyed the SUV, now the bad guys must all go on foot, which gives John Cena a chance to chase them down. Now, I didn't write down the note specifically, but I know for a fact that John Cena gets captured by a bunch of hillbillies who think he's a cop. Some random hillbillies.
Yep.
And he's punched in the face like 8 million times. The funny thing about that to me is that John Cena gets punched in the face about as much as any action hero in any movie, and half the movie doesn't have a scratch on him. So his face is made out of granite also. Relatively minor details. Also,
a few scratches. A few scratches at best.
Eventually. But it takes a while. He has to get hit in the face about 1,000 times for a scratch to appear. Also, I did note that Robert Patrick's character, they're trying to make him, they're trying to emphasize that he's crazy. So how do you emphasize crazy? He's in the middle of a thing. He's arguing with the people that he's supposed to be making the diamond drop for back and forth. They're going through all that. This is a very, very tense situation. They're getting away from the cops. They're getting away from everything. And then he hangs up on somebody, puts them on hold. I forget what it was. And then on the other line, he's talking to somebody where it must be a television company, because he's saying, yeah, I want the premium. What about the premium channels in the sports package?
Maybe he, too, wants to not watch his movie or be in the movie and go watch something else.
Indeed. So, yeah, that was that. And it's at this point in the movie, about an hour in, where I'm a bit stuck on Morgan, the character. He's supposed to be the crazy loose cannon. By this point in the movie, I'm about to get fed up with Morgan, because I'm tired of this guy. He just keeps babbling nonsense. And then at one point, because they're in like this cabin, in the middle of the day, he's like freaking out about camping because he's worried about Jason Voorhees. Like, he makes a reference. It's like, what if there's like a machete-wielding maniac or something? I can't remember what exactly it was, but they made an irrational fear of Jason Voorhees or somebody like him.
Well, technically, it's somewhat understood, or it's somewhat justified with the hillbillies that John Trident character run into. They're pretty nuts.
Yes, but he doesn't have that reference point. He's just randomly babbling. Now, this is how weird this movie is. I made 2 notes, and I usually put like a time stamp on the notes just so I understand where in the movie this happened. At the 1 hour mark, I literally wrote, and I will quote myself, I was amused at Morgan for a bit, but Jason Voorhees' fear, I'm sick of this guy. Go ahead.
Yeah, at this point, I wouldn't say because of the ridiculousness of the Jason Voorhees thing. It's because his justification for freaking out is it's because he's black, isn't it? That's generally what they repeat ad nauseum for this character.
Well, specifically also, the guy is neurotic. He's got like psychological issues that he needs therapy for. That's what they're trying to get at. Well, 1 minute later, at 1 hour and 1 minute, okay, I'm amused again. His camp story won me over. You remember the story where he's basically explaining why he's so afraid of camping or something related to it, and he's talking about the one time he went camping, and then he's basically saying that the camp counselor or whatever, and it's like he's explaining. I think he's trying to explain basically that he was sexually assaulted by the camp counselor. I think. I'm pretty sure that's what they were going with. And they say, but this the way he put it. He's like, and what did he bring you? It's like, well, at first he offered friendship, and then he went into this whole thing that took about a minute, and by the end of it, I was just laughing.
at that point, everyone realized, or everyone came to the same conclusion, is like, if this man dies shortly in this film, it's for the betterment of us all. And it's just like, at this point, he has nothing less to contribute to this film, other than more awkwardness and various strangeness.
Yes, but Robert Patrick's look at the end of this story was priceless. I think he was legitimately cracking up. I'm not sure if that was in the script or if he ad-libbed it himself, but I think that Robert Patrick was trying to keep a straight face and
I
couldn't
figured
quite do it.
that had to have been ad-libbed, because quite frankly, it was too entertaining to fit in with the rest of the script as a whole up to that point. It doesn't seem like the original writers were capable of such a thing.
Yep, pretty much. That was kind of my thing. The next thing that came to my mind is that when finally, so John Triton manages to get away from the hillbillies and catches up to the group at the cabin thing. Cabin, store, bar, whatever. Clubhouse, I don't know. Regardless, he manages to catch up to them there. He knows that's where they are. His wife is upstairs, and, he's slowly taking out the people one by one. So he manages to take out Morgan. He does that. Well, when he takes out Morgan, because Morgan's the first one to die of this group, other than somebody who had been killed earlier just because Robert Patrick's crazy. Go ahead.
All right, that covers that.
Yeah, I was covering that.
Yeah.
The thing, though, is it was so uneventful, it was so pointless that I'm like, whatever. So Morgan gets killed. And, of course, since it's against the action movie star code, John Cena can't possibly take the gun away from the guy who had a gun to take out the second guy. He has to do it by hand.
I think we can generally skip how stupid most of the stuff are, the kills up to that point, and the clear lure that by the way, we need to get the wife and the other female accomplice out of there. So we'll make another attempt at an escape scene for her. Technically, no. Technically, she was the most interesting or more intelligent, because normally the people who are the hostages in these films tend to be completely helpless and useless most of the time. But at least in this case, the character, the wife, makes some attempt to either sabotage the attempts of the people who captured her, or make an outright escape. So technically, that's something more than what you would expect out of most characters. So that's one of the few plus sides you could say in this film.
Also, I would say my concern is that I think Mrs. John Triton acquired her husband's knack for no-selling things. She was knocked out, I think, to my knowledge, at least 3 times in this movie.
Clearly, I don't know. I can't think of a good way to sell this one.
No, the thing is, she's been knocked. She literally got punched out by one of the guys, punched out by the lady. I'm pretty sure she was punched out by Robert Patrick as well before putting her into a trunk. Like, at a certain point, you know what? Just kill the girl. Just kill the lady. Like, just be done with it. Because these bad guys just refuse to actually, like, you're not going to do anything. Just kill her and dump her off. All right. There's not too much more to say about this. There was a side plot that there was a detective who throughout the movie helps John Cena quite a bit. And the big twist is that he was the business associate of Robert Patrick who had been screwed out of the diamonds. And that's the reason he let Cena go, because Cena found them. And then when he found them, he turned on Cena. And really, this guy was almost irrelevant in this movie. It's kind of pointless. It's kind of dumb. Whatever. What I would like to talk about here at the end, though, my favorite thing. Do you have, before I say anything, because I've been doing most of the talking for this movie, given that I wanted to restrain your love for it. But do you have any thoughts on the last fight between Robert Patrick and John Triton?
All right, let's see. Everything is on fire at this point. Not that the fire really hurts anyone or actually manages to do anyone in. Let's say partway through, Triton has to go under the water in order to save his wife, who is still trapped inside of a stolen tractor trailer, which is now submerged in water at this point. So I have to pretty much break the I'm trying to call what the hell thing. It's basically like a coat rack inside the back of the tractor trailer in order to get the wife back out of the water, resuscitate her, and of course you have now a very bloodied, injured what was Robert's character's name again?
I honestly have just been calling him Robert Patrick. I can look it up.
Yeah.
Give me a
You
second.
have
He's Rome.
yeah, Rome. So you
Yep.
have Rome, aka T-1000, bloodied up but still fighting at the end, only to get killed by effectively having his neck broken by a chain, which is disappointing because with all the fire and stuff there, I really would have wanted to see him somehow frozen in a cryogenic state and then shattered. That seems like the only way to properly get rid of the guy.
Indeed. Well, also keep in mind he wasn't just he was actually fried. He had been burned. They're showing him actually having been burned in the fire, like horrifically scarred and burned.
That wouldn't have lasted long. It would have been gone by the next scene if he had survived. Liquid metal can fix itself, you know.
Yeah, indeed. Now you're 100% right, but may I fill in a few details?
Sure, I honestly glazed over by this point of the film, so please go ahead.
Allow me. Here's my problem. And for this, I wish I had more beer. During this movie, I drank quite a bit of beer because it helped. Okay, John Cena's in the final fight with Robert Patrick. His wife is still kidnapped. She's handcuffed to the tractor trailer, and he's trying to set it up so that she's going to drown in the tractor trailer. Now, she doesn't die, even though the damn truck goes through about 15 explosive things and blows up half a building. The stupid truck doesn't blow up, which should have blown up and killed her immediately, and then we would have been done with all this. Doesn't happen. She goes into the water and is slowly drowning during this fight sequence. We'll get to that in a second. During the fight sequence, Robert Patrick hits John Cena in the leg with a pipe. Hits him hard enough in the leg with a pipe that he goes down like a ton of bricks. Great. So they're fighting their way through it. And as he's crawling towards the truck, being an idiot, Robert Patrick hits him square in the ribs with a sledgehammer. Full blast. In theory, he should have damage on his leg and very likely broken ribs, which should lead to internal bleeding. Are we good so far?
Well, I can explain why that didn't work in this case.
Oh, go ahead.
You have to understand, John Cena, due to his previous experience, is very accustomed to getting hit with sledgehammers. He's worked with Triple H before multiple times. The sledgehammer is nothing new to him.
Oh, I understand completely his background on this issue.
He forgot that it's like, oh yeah, I'm in this film. I'm not supposed to be me. I'm not John Cena. I am John Triton, and we're supposed to acknowledge the reality that is getting hit with blunt force trauma. He forgot about that because they're both named John. He can't tell the difference between the two. Arnold can tell when he's like, I'm supposed to be John. Now I'm back to being Arnold. John doesn't know how to do that. He probably didn't know how to respond to having a different first name. So this caused multiple problems during the takes.
Indeed. So in effect, John Cena presumably has an injured leg and broken ribs. And Robert Patrick, being a good villain, has him dead to rights with a sledgehammer, which he could hit him. He's already hit him in the leg with a pipe, in the back with a pipe, in the ribs with a sledgehammer. He's got the sledgehammer in his hands. And being that he could finish the idiot off with a shot of the sledgehammer to the head, killing him and ending the damn thing, he instead drops the sledgehammer and then goes for a chainsaw. Because reasons. Because reasons.
Guess he couldn't find the machete and a hockey mask.
Morgan's fears were justified.
Yeah. If he realized, he probably, maybe this would have been in some of the removed scenes. I didn't see if there were any removed scenes. Although I imagine it consisted a lot of outtakes where you have John Cena just roaming through the forest area, or not the forest, the swamp area. And after he finished, like when he finished effectively hog-tying one of the police officers that he steals the boat from, I imagine he finished hog-tying him there, and then just, John, cut, John, you're not supposed to do that. Wrong roll.
Yeah. So with all the errors in continuity, all the leaps of broken logic, all the stupid things, little things that you've forgotten to do all along the way, things that make, even in action movie terms, things that still don't make any sense. Decisions that you're like, Why don't you just shoot her? Why don't you just hit him with a sledgehammer again? Why don't you just finish this off? In this last sequence, they still go to another level of we're going to ignore time, space, reality, everything. We're going to ignore it all because none of it matters when you're John Cena / John Triton. And the reason I bring this up is because my next note literally was, it's like, well, she should be dead by now. During this fight sequence, I'm like counting the time. Even in movie time is different from real time because they're trying to convey that, look, this fight sequence is happening, but it's taking longer than we're trying to sell it but because we're doing the cuts. So, but even in movie time, she was underwater for about 3 minutes not breathing. I believe brain damage kicks in at about 3 minutes, give or take.
I think 2 to 3, somewhere with it. Basically, no. She should, even in the most exaggerated format, either there's permanent damage or she's dead. That's basically how it works, or how it should work.
Correct. Now that is a concern from you guys are being dumb now. But even forgetting all that, remember what I said about shot to the leg, shot to the ribs. John Cena manages to throw Robert Patrick into flames. Robert Patrick is presumably dead. He will come back momentarily. We've talked about it. The building is finally about to blow up properly one more time because explosions. Michael Bay may have been a consultant on this. I don't know. So the building's about to blow up one more time. John Cena has to get away from this explosion. This time John Cena does the explosion in the traditional manner of running away from the exploding building and using the concussion to send him flying as he dives into the water. Here's my problem. Considering the shots he's taken, when John Cena's running at a full sprint as though nothing had happened. He completely no-sold and completely forgot everything, every ounce of damage that he had taken. He had been crawling forward from the damage moments ago. But now all of a sudden he can run at full speed without an ounce of a limp or a problem in the world. His leg's fine, his ribs fine, he's perfectly great.
Wait a second. I think I figured it out. His character is supposed to be a Marine, right?
Yes.
Okay, so...
Given the title, yes.
Yes. Okay. Stupid question. Okay, fine. But either way, work with me here. I think I can explain this. He's actually channeling the wrong role here. So you got a Marine here with a very noticeable crew cut, a buzz cut, very short on the side, only like kind of flat top of there. Generally over above there, set up there. Constantly getting beat up there, but still somehow managing to move at a full click. I imagine if he had any guns, he'd be able to carry a bunch of guns at him with once. I think he actually thinks he's in a Doom movie. Which how, even when the guy's nearly dead, Doom guy still can move around and run at a rapid pace that is inhuman. He might think he's a space marine in this film. He might think he's Doom guy. His acting is still too low for a Doom guy, but it's still, at least it's a closer fit. This might be the worst Doom movie ever, instead of being just an absolute travesty of anything else.
Whoa.
I said this is the worst Doom movie, and that's keeping in mind the actual Doom movie.
Whoa.
Yes.
The actual Doom movie was shit.
Yes, and I'm saying it was still better done than this.
And I love how you're saying it with bulging eyes for emphasis. That's fantastic. Considering he's wearing a mask, he's emoting quite well with the eyes and the eyebrows.
We've solved the mystery, ladies and gentlemen. This is, in fact, a really poorly done Doom prequel. We're through here. We don't need to talk about this anymore.
Indeed, actually, we don't. I've pretty much made my point. The man should have not been, Two things at the end. The man shouldn't have been able, movie makers. Watch this movie makers, to learn how to screw up continuity. And the thing is to screw it up in a way you don't have to. If in one scene your hero can barely crawl because he's been injured with a leg and a rib shot, you can't have him sprinting full speed 8 seconds later. Second item, if somebody's underwater for an eternity, they're dead. Unless they're a member of Aquaman's family or the Little Mermaid. Let it go. She's dead.
Or a Mario brother.
Whatever. Anyway, so outside of that, it was a fantastic film. A+, 10 out of 10.
I think we're actually hit negatives with all the different things and knocks against it.
Yeah, we
It
basically spent the better part of an hour pointing out everything that's wrong with this movie, and
It actually owes.
we probably missed
something
half
else.
the things that are wrong with the movie if we really break it down.
I can't remember most of the movie, and that's probably for the best. It's that unmemorable. And generally, okay, I'll skip straight to last thoughts. Not even a bargain bin. I'm actually completely serious. This film is not even a bargain bin. Did they by any chance give at least some of the proceeds towards the basically? I know they happen to do a lot of stuff for the troops, basically, for when it comes to WWE entertainment. Did any of the proceeds go towards the troops at least?
I have no idea. That's a fair question, and it might be a good move for their part. But can I make a point? I agree. The movie's terrible. Basically, if you can find it literally for $1 or $2, that's fine. It'll be worth one watch. It doesn't have any rewatchability. It's pretty awful. It's pretty much garbage. But I do want to make an interesting point, and I don't think you've seen it, but I want to tell you something. You know what's funny and a little bit sad?
What?
I've seen, as I said, The Marine 3 with The Miz. And you know who that is.
Loosely. Yeah. I don't pay too much attention to wrestling at this point.
By every measure, a worse actor than John Cena. Because even as a bad guy, he's atrocious. He's actually just really annoying. He's supposed to be getting people to boo him, but you feel a moral compulsion to change the channel for the decency of humanity. With that said, The Marine 3 is 100 times better. Probably about 100 times better.
That's bad.
Lower budget, simpler plot, but he knows how to pretend he's injured and act accordingly. He doesn't try to overact because they know he's limited, so they limit what he can do. They give him a basic plot that they can follow. They cut the movie in a way that actually makes sort of sense, and when something explodes, he dives away from it and acts like he just got hit by a concussion, rolls sideways, and at least pretend that he was marginally injured for part of it.
Actually, I can't say I'm overly surprised. Maybe they learned a little bit of lessons from the first one, but I can't recall which of the films it was for. But for the Marine series, I do recall reading notes that they were originally looking for Randy Orton for one of the various films in the series, one of the trilogy. But on top of just being unavailable, they decided to not include him or not have him starring due to his previous discharge for effectively desertion of duty and disobeying an officer or direct order. So probably it's a good idea not to have Orton in any of the Marine films. Just as a little
That's
aside.
fair enough, but you know what the thing is? I'll give you like a little bit of basis. They still put him into a sequel for 12 Rounds, which is another John Cena movie.
Did they have him as a Marine? Or
No,
something
he was a paramedic.
Okay. Orton as a paramedic?
Yep.
Oh, it's kind of a bad fit, but at least it's something that isn't quite as controversial as putting his aside. Yeah, I'm going to act as Marine when I was one and I was basically discharged dishonorably.
Indeed. So yeah, that's basically the deal behind that. And in the end, the Marine 2 was with Ted DiBiase Jr., so the $1 Million Man's Kid. The Miz was in the Marine 3. And to put it into perspective, this series has gone on for 3 movies. It ended up being a trilogy. The third movie, apparently somebody liked it. It was straight to DVD. You know, it's low expectations, but they managed to deliver enough. They made a Marine 4, also with The Miz. So he came back to do it a second time.
I would rather see a film with Ted DiBiase Sr. What the crap is that? Yeah. Never mind, weird thing. Checking another window and it started playing music automatically. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen.
It did. But that's it. That's all I'll say is that the movie was, is very, there's not much in terms of redeeming qualities. Oddly enough, it's a rare situation where I'm going to do it, but I would say I've never seen The Marine 2. I'll catch it at some point just to check it out for comparison. But it's a rare instance. Well, say the third movie was about 100 times better than the first one, which is weird to say.
That's not something we say a lot.
No, I can't think of another time.
Normally, the third film is actually the worst of the set for the most part.
No, without having seen the second one, I can't speak to the second one. But all I can say is the third one was passable as an action movie, and they liked it enough that they brought back the same guy to do a fourth.
I don't know.
So there you go.
I don't know how this thing got a 2, much less a trilogy and now 4th film.
Because it made money.
That's probably it.
Yeah, the first one was actually the only one I think that actually was in theaters, and it did make money because I'm sure the budget was really low.
Feels the part.
Yep. So Manyninjas, shamelessly plug.
All right, to wash the taste of this film out of my mouth,
He will
currently
be
doing a
reviewing
handful
The
of
Marine
projects.
in Espanol.
Yeah, currently, well, still figuring out exactly how I'm continuing to edit the format for Retro Ninja Gaming, as I did actually recently change to a different recording method to actually have me on camera as I'm playing some of this stuff for a change. Nice change of pace, as well as give a little more information, the actual screen format as is. But currently working out how to break down the length for slightly longer titles. So basically, it won't be like the last one was, give or take, closer to 50-minute gameplay. It was a long play, as the term goes, but kind of working out how long these videos are going to be from here on out, and if I'm going to need to insert some breaks here and there. But generally, my stuff will be showing up on my channel, which can be, all the videos for that related can be released or will be notified on IamManyninjas.com. On Twitter, I am @ManyNinjas. And that's probably all I need to say at the moment, and I'll have to actually stall for a moment longer, because Carlos just went somewhere. I don't know where that somewhere is, but he went somewhere. I think he's getting the film for next week. Are you, Matt?
That is exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, so pretty much that covers me. How about you, Carlos?
All right. So as always, updates are contained both on the website here and on the Twitter, Carlos Alcazar2, @CarlosAlcazar2 and carlosalcazar.org. I actually did update the website with the most recent videos up until now. I will add this one later on this evening. I have a few things to do before the end of the day. I am going to show the next movie that we're doing. We're probably going to do the Godzilla movie, but we have to figure out which one. So we'll work that out. But in the meantime, now I'm going to show you a movie that's about 100 times worse than this Marine movie. Quite frankly, I feel that I'll finally kill Manyninjas with this one. It'll be like Mystery Science Theater 3000. I'm doing it just to torture him. So a movie not quite as good as the Marine, and I know it'll disappoint because deep down inside, Manyninjas loved this film. But we'll do this one. Speed, starring Keanu Reeves, a man who quite frankly cannot emote like a John Cena. I don't know if he can, bring the gravitas that John Cena brought to this, but hopefully Sandra Bullock will save us.
We did not agree to Speed anywhere in the last time we talked. Where the hell did Speed come from?
Actually, we did. You just stopped paying attention.
This was mentioned after you mentioned the Marine, didn't it? And I must have glossed over when you mentioned that.
Yes, you actually passed out and spasmed for about 5 minutes before we continued.
Clearly someone messed with my ice cap that day. That's the only explanation.
I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no. I'm just saying we did actually mention this.
All I'm saying is there must have been something involved to agree to both the Marine and Speed.
You're not going to tell me you got a problem with Speed now. Really?
One after the other, I would have preferred to breathe in there. But seriously, no, that's actually, that's going to be a workable film, even if the main actor can act and is perhaps one of the saddest human beings on the planet.
And that may or may not come up in jokes. You have 7 days to come up with your jokes. I'm looking at you, Ninja Boy.
Flimsy case. I hate this flimsy case crap.
It's an environmental case. That has nothing to do with the movie.
That doesn't mean I can't grab it. Environmental in what way? The cutout here on the machine would take more effort to do than just a normal case, and that effort takes energy. And the energy takes electricity. Well,
Yeah, but it also uses less plastic. That's the whole idea.
Are we so sure about that?
Yes, it takes less plastic with the gap where plastic would otherwise be.
So we save in plastic there, but we waste the extra electricity in order to cut the damn thing out, and yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Would you have been this grumpy if we had given you rippled potato chips? Or puppets?
I wouldn't want to waste puppets on this film.
I would.
This
You
film
could
does
have the
not deserve
puppets.
puppets.
You could have the puppets beat each other and then immediately get up.
The puppets deserve more than this film. I'd maybe do sock puppets at best. We're not going to waste any serious puppet funds on this film.
Indeed. So the love affair of Many Ninjas will continue off-screen for the Marine. Secretly, he'll watch it another 15 or 20 times. The next episode, we're going to do Speed. So that'll be the next one we'll do. And then, yeah, I think we are going to do the Godzilla movie. We just got to figure out which one. And then once we've decided, I'll post up which one on Twitter. As always, like, subscribe, and comment. And like, subscribe, and comment on Many Ninja's videos. You can question his video game choices, his life choices, and his mask choices.
I would FedEx this thing right back to you right now, but FedEx does not accept bio-waste. They won't ship that stuff.
So much anger.
There's laws against that sort of thing.
You know, we can always watch 12 rounds. More John Cena all the time.
I'd rather watch something else that's more wholesome or better planned, like the later Death Wish films, like 4 or 5, and those aren't any good either. They're comical, but at least they're not good films. They're funny, but no.
So while Many Ninjas mutters to himself for another week, that's all for us. Thank you very much for watching. We will see you next time. Say bye, Many Ninjas.
Take care, ladies and gentlemen. This is rubbish.